We got David Cone here, the hired gun in Major League Baseball, throwing no hitter here at New York today in the La Cucina Hotel, doing some baseball signing. David, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Good to be with you.
It's great to have you also. We were just going over some things, and I know you started your career out with Kansas City. You got traded for Red Hearn, and we want to wish Ed, by the way, the best of luck. I know he has his health issues. But you coming up as a rookie in the Major Leagues with Kansas City, then getting traded. I guess you got traded to the Yankees. What was that experience like for you?
Well, it was pretty nutty at first. I mean, I was a Kansas City kid. You know, I was a native. I grew up in the hometown. I thought I was going to have a chance to play for my hometown team, and next thing you know, I find myself in New York. So at first it was a little scary, but it turned out to be a blessing.
New York's a tough place to play, and they ruined a lot of people's careers. Ed Whitson comes to my mind. It's hard to play in New York and pitch in New York. Did you have any type of jitters when you go out there before a start in the Yankee Stadium? Putting them pinstripes on, man, that's like, it sends chills through your body if you're a player. That's a lot of history there.
Well, there is. I mean, it's just the crowds are so good in New York. You know, they're just so passionate about baseball, really up and down the East Coast. You know, so you got to be ready because if you pitch well, they're going to make you feel great. But if you don't pitch so well, they're going to let you know. So a little different on the East Coast.
It certainly is. In the East Coast, they want you to win. If you don't win, they don't want you anymore, and they'll let you know about that, by the way. David, you throw a perfect game, no-hitter. How tough of a feat is that really to do? And what type of pressure mounts up onto you, say, knowing, and I know you're throwing a no-hitter after the seventh inning. What type of pressure is that? What's going through your mind throwing this no-hitter?
Well, you know, it does. It builds. The pressure builds. And, you know, the toughest part about a perfect game is you can't walk anybody. So anytime you get 2 or 3 balls on a batter, you start to panic a little bit because, you kind of know what's going on. But you also rely on your defense, too. I had a couple of really good defensive plays behind me that game, and we had some good players behind me, so that helps a lot too because no pitcher does it alone. There's always some plays that get made that are great that help save the game.
There was a guy, I think his name was Wise. He played for a team, I forget if it was I think it was the White Sox or the Detroit Tigers. Remember that catch he made, this preserver no-hitter?
Yes,
only a couple years ago it was. One of the greatest catches I've ever seen in my life. But I wanted to ask you, say you're throwing that perfect game and that no-hitter and you got like, say, a 3-1 count, knowing you got a perfect game, you're going to lay it down Broadway for him because you don't want to walk him. You're not. So if you walk him, you still got a no-hitter going, but you don't have the perfect game anymore. What's going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, I think that's probably the difference between a no-hitter and a perfect game because you've seen a lot of guys throw no-hitters that have walked 3, 4, 5 guys in their games. With a perfect game, you don't have that luxury, and if you know what's going on, you start to panic a little bit when you do get to 2 or 3 balls, and you do have to make it happen, and that certainly was in my mindset too. I didn't want to even get close to a walk, in the last couple of innings, so you're aware of it.
Okay. Now, I know Ken Fimmel, Hope for Charities, you're friends with Kenny. He's doing a good thing. He's trying to raise money for charities and all that. I know you do a lot of charity foundation and work and all that. How's that working out for you?
Oh, it's been great. There's so many worthwhile causes out there, but I think a lot of the ball players, especially baseball players, really all sports, are really active in their communities, and some of them don't want the attention, so you don't hear a lot about it, but a lot of guys do some really good work in the community, and it's a big part of, I think, being a professional athlete today.
A little give back is good, don't you think so, David?
Absolutely. I think it's a must. I think within the community, to be able to be active in your community and to give back and to try to make a difference, because it's not so much about debating whether you're a role model or not. It's more about just giving back, like you said, being involved in that community and being appreciative for what you have, and then trying to make a difference in some kids' lives.
Now, I want to take a hair back in your career. We got a few more minutes here with David Cone, the ace of so many different stats here on the Artie Clear Show on Wi-Fi 1460. What was that like for you, knowing each year that you could possibly get traded to Toronto, to New York, to the Mets, to Kansas City? What was going through your mind as the trading deadline is coming closer to you? You know you're going to get traded. What goes through your mind at that point?
Well, you start to expect it after a while. The first time it happened, I was a little caught off guard. But once it depends on the team you're on, and if you're on a team that's fallen out of the race and you're a high-paid player, then there's a chance you could get moved because teams nowadays want to take that chance if they got a chance to win this year, because it could have an impact on their franchise for years to come. So when you do get yourself in a position as an organization to make a run in the postseason, you want to do everything you can, because it really can set up your fan base for the following year and the year after. And a lot of these teams, too, a lot of these cities were looking for new stadium deals back then. So it really was that much more important for them to take the chance when they had it.
Last question for you, David. being a hired gun, and I always call that when the players get traded. And I would say to you is, what type of pressure was it for you to go to that new ball team knowing that you're supposed to win, you're expected to win? What type of pressure was that for you to go, say, to Toronto and New York, going as in the trading line, trying to help that team get to the playoffs?
Yeah, it's tremendous pressure because you're going to a new team and you don't really know your teammates, so you don't want to let them down. You want to make a good first impression, and there is a little more pressure added to that as opposed to if you're with the team the entire year. So you come in July or August, you got a bunch of new teammates, and they're really counting on you, and the city's really counting on you. It does add that much more extra pressure.
David, thanks so much for everything. I wish you a lot of luck in your endeavors, and thanks so much for our interview. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.